We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Shakur Stevenson breaks his silence, gives his first words regarding his newfound fight being canceled. The Joe Cordina fight, it is over. Shakur Stevenson officially has pulled out, made a video about it. You need to check that on the channel. And listen, guys, hit the subscribe button. It goes a long way when you guys do it. Best in the business, and it's not even close. Let's get into the news. Shakur Stevenson pulled out of his fight with Joe Cordina. Again, check that video. This is what he had to say. He posted a picture where he's bedridden and he got the little gauze. What is that black stuff on his nails? I thought he had his fingernail painted or something. I don't know what that is, but he's seemingly in a hospital. I mean, he's making his face. He posted the Matchroom press release, which I went over in the first video. And this is what he had to say. God works in mysterious ways through the ups and downs. I'm steady, hungry, and motivated more than ever. 2025 gonna be my best year yet. Surgery went great. It's a minor setback for a major comeback. Chasing greatness. Ryan Garcia says have a speedy recovery. Keyshawn says get well, G, etc. So that's the latest. Fight with Joe Cordina, of course, is off as a result of that. And Shakur is not going to return until 2025. My thoughts, I mean, a lot of my thoughts remain the same. If you listen to that first video, the first video, I broke it down with greater detail. But I still think this is a bad look for Shakur Stevenson. Something about it feels off to me. Something about this feels fishy. For example, what are the odds that you entered training camp, you were just seen with Terrence Crawford, and he was watching you and coaching you, right? You look like you were training, you were doing like little photo ops, posting the pictures, and, you know, like I said, Crawford was in camp, and now randomly your hand is hurt. And again, I understand this is my sport. I understand that injuries do happen and people get injured, but it's a little bit deeper. For example, this fight happened to receive a lot of backlash by even being made. People were like livid that the fight was on pay-per-view. People were complaining about the opponent given the timing. Guy coming off a loss, guy moving up in weight, guy who's never fought at lightweight against anybody, guy who's had really a domestic level fight, fighting in Saudi Arabia instead of America, fighting on pay-per-view when Better Be of Beevil is a fight that's included non-pay-per-view on ESPN Plus. Again, Cordina coming off a loss, a stoppage loss at that. And coincidentally, we've never really seen Shakur pull out of any fights, but you do this new deal with Eddie Hearn and Turkey and Riyadh season, right? And your very first fight is up in smoke during training camp, but also your first fight that had all this backlash to it. It looks sketch. I don't care what nobody says. It looks very sketch to me. Just like when Canelo fought against Kovalev, that looked FAF. I don't care what no one's talking about. You can unsubscribe or, oh, I'm unfollowing you. I'm telling you my honest opinion. I don't care about unfollows and unsubs and all that. If you don't like the content, so sorry for you. Somebody else will. Find some content that you like. It looks weird. Shakur, I mean, any way you slice it, it's a bad look. Because for me, Shakur, he talks too much for this to be the end result. Right? And keep in mind, some of my favorite fighters of all time, from the Floyd Mayweathers to the Roy Jones, didn't I just say that? That's what it takes sometimes. It takes coming to get it back. You beat me. I say, okay, we had a good night. Still coming to get it back. Pensacola in the house, right? Roy is one of my favorite fighters. Prince Nassim, one of my favorite fighters. Floyd, one of my favorite fighters. Mike Tyson. Hi, it's me, Mike Tyson. Watch my fight with Peter McNeely on Cox Cable, right? So I have no problem with guys who are brash and trash talkers, and the thing is, you got to back it up. Shakur posted all these pictures of him teeing off on someone in sparring, and you know, him in camp with Crawford, for the end result to just be I'm pulling out of the fight because I'm injured. And again, to me, it just looks fishy. It looks real fishy. The other thing is, he was also making statements like chasing the bag. Everybody hated this Joe Cordina fight, and he was like, chasing the bag. I don't care what y'all saying. Now all of a sudden he's in the hospital bed, and he's all humbled back to putting chasing greatness. So you were almost braggadocious about teaming up with Eddie Hearn and Turkey, and so were the Shakur fans. They were like, oh, Shakur, he getting to the money. Don't hate. Turkey got the bag for him. And then now he talking about he not coming back till 2025. The other thing that's awkward is I don't believe this. I don't care what none of y'all talk about. So right here, if you look on ESPN, it's being reported he had surgery to repair collateral ligament damage, blah, 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 forcing him to pull out of his title defense with Cordina on October 12th. He's expected to recover in 6 to 8 weeks ahead of a possible bout with William Zepeda. That's why I don't believe this, bro. It takes we're in September. It takes you just had the surgery. You just laid up in the bed looking like Kevin Durant when he was in the hospital bed, right? Looking like Lomachenko when he was looking like that with the arm, looking like Pacquiao after he fight Floyd. I believe my shoulder it hurt with Floyd. I could not because I needed the ocean and salt water to beat him. Like, bro, top ranked fighters got the most like convenient injuries all of a sudden. Loma, Teofimo, Pacquiao, and then Shakur, who just left top rank. It's always something, right? And again, I understand the injuries happen, but it's always the convenience of it all. Teofimo looks horrific versus George Kambosos, and they said his esophagus blew out and he needed surgeries and it was near death. Lomachenko loses to Teofimo and Loma's arm was broke. Pacquiao get demolished by Floyd Mayweather, land like 71 punches, looks horrible for the most part, just because Pacquiao's shoulder was broken. You know what I mean? Now Shakur entering this new deal, a 2-fight deal, and everybody publicly hated it, and then now conveniently he's injured. And here's the thing. If you're a fighter, you probably have wear and tear on your joints, your ligaments. You're a fighter. So they have little things where they could do little non-invasive like scraping and shaping and, you know, corrective surgery that are really very minor procedures that fighters can get done to feel renewed. You know, just think about when an athlete goes to a chiropractor, right? You could go to a chiropractor. It's not like you're getting a new body, like you're the bionic man, the $6 million man. It's just, you just get, you know, you're going through acupuncture or cupping or a chiropractor. They have smaller surgeries that aren't these big, like open heart surgery, long 16, 20-hour procedures where they could just clean things up and things like that. So at best, that's what it sounds like Shakur Stevenson probably had, especially when you look at the lead time, 6 to 8 weeks. And here's the other reason why I personally feel it's cap. Despite everyone hating the fight and all the backlash, which we already went through, how do you go from Joe Cordina? Why not postpone it, which is what they usually do when it's really, the decision is not we're canceling the fight because of backlash or no one's going to buy the pay-per-view, etc. Why don't you reschedule the fight? If Shakur has a 2-fight deal with Eddie Hearn and he's working with Turkey and he got injured, reschedule the Joe Cordina fight then. You already announced it one time, so let Shakur heal up and then reschedule it. Similarly, Artur Beterbiev, the card he was supposed to fight Cordina on, Artur Beterbiev was fighting Dmitry Bivol, and then Artur Beterbiev got injured ahead of the undisputed fight with Dmitry Bivol. They didn't cancel the fight because they actually wanted to fight and the public wanted to fight, and Beterbiev fought through his injuries or healed or did whatever he had to do, and now the fight is taking place October 12th. So why would ESPN, which is exactly what I said in my last video, because I'm a genius, the best in the business, and it's not even close, why would they be talking about what I told you, a Williams Zepeda fight in 2025? And Shakur, to me, that's foolish for Shakur to even do that. If you already had a tune-up fight, despite if people wanted it or not, do your tune-up and then fight someone like a Williams Zepeda. Shakur, he will not have fought since the Artem Haratunian fight, and he's going to wait basically 8 months to a year before the Zepeda fight can happen. Meanwhile, Zepeda is fighting Tevin Farmer on this Latino night card, so he's going to be full and ready, still have time to prepare, but he's going to be more active. Think Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. Terrence Crawford, he decided to squeeze in the David Avocado fight in December, and then he fought Errol in July or whatever it was. Meanwhile, Errol hadn't fought since Ugas, and he had like nine plus months off. That's just a dumb play. So Shakur low-key is being set up, in my opinion, because Zepeda is getting activity and he's being given Tevin Farmer, which he'll be the favorite to beat, especially Tevin Farmer almost got stopped by Murataya, and William Zepeda, arguably ranked higher and a difference. He's fighting a guy coming off a loss, just like Shakur was about to. So I think this is a bad look for Shakur Stevenson anyway, to not have the activity, even though I wasn't a fan of the Cordina fight. But as I said before, I think the whole thing looks stupid. Shakur Stevenson, he had, like, just the fact that you were going to fight this guy, that already sticks with you, regardless of the fight not happening. Now you're injured, your hands look brittle, you look like Mr. Glass from Unbreakable. I'm Mr. Glass, right? Your hands look like if you sneeze too hard, you might break them. And then you're talking about beating Gervonta Davis. For me, that doesn't really add up. Gervonta Davis is a killer. He is a monster. And if you can't even, Shakur's already not the biggest puncher. When he fought Artem Haratunian in his last fight, he looked almost depressed in the locker room with Andre Ward and Terrence Crawford, as the OGs, his big brothers, were telling him all the things that he could have done differently that he didn't. He got no knockdowns, no knockout in this fight. He hurt Artem Haratunian, then completely left him off the hook. And here's the thing, is Shakur Stevenson, you're not going to develop a killer instinct overnight. People have their own styles, and that's just what it is. You don't develop that overnight. That temperament, that takes time to develop that. Like, there's a clip, I swear to you, there's a clip of Gervonta Davis, Southpaw killer, right? And he had to be like 6 years old or something. He's very young. And this other kid is bigger than him, and Tank Davis just bop, and then hits him with a left and rocks the kid. Tank's been doing this, like, hurting fools since he was yay high. It's literally a video of it. I know if you're a diehard boxing fan, you've probably seen it. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So Tank was doing that when he was a young buck, when he was a jit, you know what I mean? So Shakur, you're not gonna just get a killer instinct, especially you're not gonna get a killer instinct without practice in the trenches, not in sparring, but in real life situations, i.e. the actual fight. So activity plays a part if you want to work on certain things like, you know, having more of a killer instinct. So I don't really see Shakur and Tank actually fighting anytime soon. He's not, to me, you're not doing any good preparation for that. Not having the activity, you try to sit down on your punches with Artem Haratunian and you said you hurt both of your hands. Now you're in training camp and you're hurting all your hands again. What's going on with his hands, bro? Like his hands made of paper mache or something. Like, it's just weird. It is very bizarre. And it's not even really making sense. I understand, like, a lot of guys that have real bad hand injuries are like offensive guys and punchers, like Deontay Wilder. Wilder's trying to, in his prime, he's trying to punch through you. Oh my God. Tuscaloosa, Alabama. To this day, like, bah. So I can understand Chris Areola. He's trying to melt Chris Areola. Bah. He's trying to hit you with that Alabama slammer. So hand injuries with him, that makes sense. Or even Floyd Mayweather, because Floyd, just look at the Gotti fight. Look at how many combinations he's lacing. Bah, 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 bah. Like he 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs, and then back upstairs. Like Floyd was just getting off crazy. Shakur is not even throwing that many punches. And so it's like weird. Like, how are your hands so hurt and you're not even really throwing as many punches to entice the crowd? And, you know, the people are walking out saying that your fights ain't all that, or Cameron and Mace saying they fell asleep in the fight. So I'm not understanding, how are you being so hurt if your punch output is not the craziest? You see what I'm saying? To me, that I haven't really found out how that makes sense. You're not throwing these like crazy, zany, dazzling combinations. Tank Davis is, and again, I understand it's a case-by-case basis, but Shakur, it just seemed like his hands, ever since he got to lightweight, his hands are always hurt. Have you noticed that? Ever since he got to lightweight, his hands are hurt in every fight, he claims, except for the Yoshino fight. Every fight that was difficult, he said his hand hurt. No cap. Edwin De Los Santos said his hand was hurt. Look, okay, I'll prove it. I predicted this. I predicted this into apocalypse, and for once I was down when it felt good in the hood being around him. But for the first time, everybody let go, and the streets was death row. I wonder if heaven got a ghetto. I posted this. You guys see it on the screen. Let me go in. Bradley suggests injuries behind Shakur Stevenson's recent slump, right? So I posted this before the pullout. I said, so are they going to say this after every underwhelming Shakur Stevenson performance that he was, quote, injured? He said that before the Artem fight, that he was 100% healthy. Now he was injured in the Edwin De Los Santos fight and in the Artem Haratunian fight. Like, bro, what is going on with Shakur's hands? Boxing is a brutal business, and he has to get that sorted. Maybe this is why he did the surgery or whatever. But to me, it's not a good look. It's not a good look when your hands aren't holding up. We'll just say your hands got to be able to hold up, because your hands are your weapons. And again, if you talking the stuff you saying about Tank, and me and Tank are the best, and I'll beat him, and I promise you, bet the house on me, and he's saying stuff like this, right? This is what Shakur Stevenson is saying. So to live up to that, hold on, let me get to it. I'm gonna show y'all. Subscribe to the channel. Okay, he pinned this comment. Tell your favorite fighter to fight me and bet your house on it. You gonna lose it all. This is what he said. Got 2.8 million. This was in February. But then you can't stop Artem Haratunian And then in your last 2 fights, you're saying your hands were brittle and messed up. You got the bubble guts. You're sick, stuffy nose. You have a headache. All these like almost excuses for why your performances look like they did. You try to sit down on your punches, and then people like Cam and Mace were still saying they were bored, and then people in Newark were leaving. Then they try to put you in Saudi Arabia. Then the fight gets canceled. Now you about to go in with William Zepeda off injury. I don't know, man. It's looking ugly. Look at the setup. It's looking bad. So you might not make it to Tank unless you get your hand stuff sorted. That's just the cold hard truth. You dig?